To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So once again, I'm down here at the city park, cutting down this old man right here. It's been a massive tree. It's got to be 100, 150, 200 years old. Thing's huge. This is here in the back of my truck is a limb. Right here. Okay, so they say that a tree 14 inches in diameter is 1/3 of a cord. So 3 trees 14 inches in diameter is 1 full cord. This log right here is 16 inches in diameter. That is a limb. It's not the tree. It's not the trunk. So they came off of here. This is still, we're pretty far close to the top of the tree here. This is a massive oak tree. This is the 4th trip down here. Now, like I said, I've only worked on 1 limb, well, a limb and a partial. And it filled the truck up again, so this is my 4th load, and I've got a massive amount of firewood already stacked up. Look at this, I got puppies following me around. Again, we're in an unincorporated city. It's about 3 miles away from me, 3 or 4 miles. It used to be incorporated, but now they voted to unincorporate it, but the townspeople still maintain the city park, and I talked to several of the citizens of the town, and they all agreed that I could have this tree. So I've been coming down here about every 3 days to cut this tree because I want to make sure that if anybody else wants some of it, that they have an opportunity to come get it. I mean, by now, the entire town knows that I'm cutting it. It's a very small populated town. I'm not going to tell you how big the town is, but it's not very big. Last time I mentioned the size of the town, people were able to find me based on that information. So, but again, I've only worked on like 2 or 3 limbs here. You can see that I've worked a little bit over here, and this is just filling up the truck that quick. I have a 14-inch chainsaw and an 18-inch chainsaw. So this 14-inch is the one cutting these little limbs. Now, when I get down here, I'm going to have to switch over to the 18-inch. It's a much older chainsaw, so I kind of baby it. I don't want to wear it out before it needs to be. So the other day I walked down this tree, but I didn't get down here very far. Today I was able to get down here much further, and I just can't imagine that you're going to be able to understand the scale of this tree. So here's where the limbs and the trunk come together. This is much bigger than my 18-inch chainsaw. And when you come around here to the bottom portion of the trunk here, I'm not going to be able to cut it. And if I could cut it, I don't have a log splitter big enough to cut to split it. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave some of this behind, or rethink it, or leave it and maybe get it another year when I have an opportunity to. But even at that, I still basically have 3 full-size trees left just from the limbs. So I'm going to get probably 2 cords out of this. I probably already got a cord out of it. Half a cord, probably half a cord. And like here, there's still more limbs on the ground over here. So there's a lot of wood left. I'm not feeling too bad that I'm going to have to leave some of this behind. Now my bigger chainsaw right now isn't running. I brought it down here the other day, and I ran it once, and it died on me, and I got to investigating. The fuel filter fell off. Now the fuel filter attaches right to the fuel hose, and it just slides down into the tank. So I went to pull the hose out, and it just broke. The chainsaw is so old. I think it's about 20 years old. It's never hardly been used. I used it on 2 maple trees years ago, 20 years ago. I used it again, I don't know, about 5 years ago on, I don't know, maybe a tree or 2. But it's mostly just sat around. You know, I clean it up, maintenance it, and get the gas out of it, make sure it's in good shape. But I guess it just deteriorated. So I've ordered some more fuel line. It should be here Thursday. This is Sunday. So I had to be careful because getting my chainsaw stuck today. Normally, if you get your chainsaw pinched in between 2 logs, you can come around with the other chainsaw and kind of get it out of there. So I had to be real careful that I didn't pinch it because it would just been stuck here until I got my other chainsaw running. Now, I also have used jacks before. I'll get underneath there with a jack and jack it up to kind of get that tension off of it. But this tree is so heavy, my little jacks, there's no way I would be able to get this. I was thinking how fortunate I've been recently. Carolyn and I have had a pretty rough last few years, ever since we met, actually. You know, I just came out of a divorce. She just came out of a divorce. Just met each other, and it was all platonic. We were friends at first. Actually, we were co-workers at first, and then became friends, and over time developed a relationship. But we worked in a job that was very, very stressful, and I was $50,000 in debt, just over my head. The work I was doing was I was working 16 hours a day sometimes. And people say, no, you weren't. That's not possible. It's against the law to work 16 hours a day without overtime. There's no way a company would do that. How can they afford to pay that much overtime? I was salary. I was a manager. I had a fixed rate. And they weren't going to pay me anymore. And the thinking is if you can't get your work done in an 8-hour day, well, then you're going to do it until you do get it done. Well, they just kept throwing more work at you is what they did. It's a cheap way of doing things. Give you a managerial title. And I worked for a shelter workshop, and our job was to train disabled employees how to work in a manufacturing environment. Now, some of these employees will never be able to accomplish that. It was our mission, our goal to try. You know, some of them probably had a mentality of an 8 or 9-year-old. So, you know, you did the best you can. Others had huge success stories. Well, I mean, the stress was killing us both. We just weren't able to do it anymore. I can't explain how overwhelmed I felt every day. You couldn't sleep at night because you were so worried about the next day and what did you do wrong. I mean, my boss would call me at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, yeah, a customer just complained, or logistics manager would call 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and say, yeah, all that scheduling that you did for tomorrow's production, the truck didn't show up, so you're gonna have to do something else. So, you know, you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you go back to work. Well, then we became nomads, and it did help. We were able to reduce our stress quite a bit, but there was always this internal feeling that something was gonna go wrong. One of us would get sick, the truck break down. I mean, we already had a camper fire in the first year that we did it. The ranger would come down all the time, traffic in the national forest would drive by, and you're always on high alert. And it was not as peaceful as you would imagine being a nomad. Yet today, you know, I'll be sleeping and I'll hear a vehicle drive by on the road, and I'll think, who's that? And a reminiscence of being in a national forest. And the nomadic lifestyle, although did help us reduce our stress from where we were at, it really didn't get us completely healed. But now we're living off-grid, and think about it. We live off-grid, we have nothing, just except what we can provide ourselves. A little bit of water, a little bit of electric. We live in a camper right now until we get our tiny house built, which isn't going to be much bigger. Still yet today, after, 8 months of living out here, I'm just as happy, if not happier, than I was when we started the thing. And I keep thinking, you know, it's amazing. Every time you think, wow, okay, what are we going to do here? Something's just, it's provided to you. And I've noticed that the harder I work at something, the better and easier it is, and the more that I get of it. I've worked all summer, well, except for July, getting enough firewood for this coming winter. I got 5 cords dried out, ready for this winter. I only need a cord. And so I've been just continuing cutting because I keep thinking about my future, and I want to make sure that when I turn 70 years old that I don't have to cut firewood all day long. And then I'm provided this old man right here. I still got 3 more trees that are dead that I need to cut down up by the house, but I want to do that in the fall. It's 3 trees by itself. This old man right here, do it right, will provide me heat for 3 seasons. All I got to do is work for it. Everybody around here heats with firewood. And I keep thinking, why aren't they coming down to get this? I just don't understand. I offer them every opportunity to come get it, but they don't take it. I'm going to continue to come down here every 3 days, take my little limb, whatever I can get into the back of the truck, unload it, split it, stack it, and heck, by next year, I'll have enough to last me 5 or 6 years. It's interesting how the harder you work at something, the more you are provided, to the point where you think, I can't get it all. Like this tree, I can't get it all. So it's a phenomenal feeling. And I'm so happy and so grateful. And I'm just going to keep working as hard as I can because it's not stressful anymore. This is peace. This is paradise. I hope I can inspire you to find your paradise. Thanks for watching.